Hi. Now, a viewer called Matt sent me this, and Matt's an auto electrician. And what it is, it's a GYS Flash 100.12 HF battery charger and support unit. Now, Matt's an auto electrician, and they use this for when they're changing parts or things on cars to keep the battery charged and to keep supply to the vehicle. Now, Matt's had this somewhere to see if they could repair it, and they changed a few parts on it, but what the problem is, there's nothing on the display and it just makes a beep. So he asked would I be to have a look at it. So I'll just read part of the email out that Matt sent us, and he says these battery support units are a must now, especially for programming and coding to keep the battery voltage stable while performing software updates to minimise the chances of corrupt modules. But unfortunately, this one has failed. I stripped it apart when it first failed for a quick visual inspection and could see obvious signs of a damaged, burnt, what looked like an SMD cap. I then researched a local electrical repair company and found one local to me, left it with him, and he had it for several months, but he said he was unable to repair it. He knew where the fault was, but was struggling to unsolder components due to not being able to get enough heat on the board. To be honest, he didn't seem that interested from the first day I dropped it off, so I'm not sure if it was probably just not for him or not. So I've actually had this for about 3 months now, and I'm just getting around to having a look at it now. So I'll just get these leads out of the way and I'll plug it in and I'll show you what's going on. So I've got a power lead here, and it just plugs in the back here. I'll switch it on. It's quite a big thing, this. So this is the front panel here, and if we press that button there, that's all we get, and there's nothing on the display. It's quite an expensive bit of kit, this. I think they retail for round about £800, I think I saw online. Power correction and fanless technology. Right, so it looks like we need to remove these screws around the front here, and there's a couple on this side and a couple on this side. So I'm just going to disconnect the power for now, and then we'll start removing the screws. So as always, when working on mains powered equipment, use extreme caution. Don't do like what I do. So right, let's get it apart. Made in France. Right, and we're in. Right, so I think some of the work, because he did send us a couple of pictures of the inside of the unit, and I think some of the work was done around about here. So let's have a zoom down on this area and we'll have a look. May have to move this across slightly. Right, so what's going on down here then? Well, it looks like there's a bit of a track burnt out there, possibly, where there's been a capacitor. And we've got a couple of diodes with some solder in between. And it looks like possibly some work's been done around this area as well. Possibly that transistor or MOSFET may have been replaced. I would have thought it would have cleaned it up a little bit, mind you. Right, let's just zoom back out a little bit. So it looks like the power comes in on this connector here, goes through this ferrite, through a bit filtering, and possibly to this little sub board here, which is aluminium. So I'm not sure what that's for. So I guess this is the main power supply part here, or the main, where the mains comes in. I guess this is like the main power supply bit. We've got a couple of capacitors here, which are 400 volts and 150 microfarads. I've also got another large capacitor here, which is also 400 volts. Well, so much for fanless technology when they've got a fan inside, eh? Let's just zoom out fraction more. So this must be the transformer that gives the output here, which then looks like that may just be some kind of choke for filtering. We've got a couple of capacitors here and a couple of relays, and then we'll go to the output. Now we've got a couple of transformers here. Now whether those are for triggering the power supply or whether they're kind of sensing. We've got a current sensor just here by the look of it. And then we've got a ribbon cable going up to the display. Now the fact that it beeps when you press the power button at the front here, that kind of suggests to me that the microcontroller in here is working, because it's obviously sensing it. Now I don't know whether that's the microcontroller down here or whether there's something on the back of this display board. So I'm just going to spin this around slightly. Let's see if we can see down here then. I'm not sure whether that's just an interface board. Now actually, I can see a USB socket on there. If you can just see it just there. So I don't know whether that gets passed through or whether there's a microcontroller on the back of this board. I might bring the microscope in so I can actually look at some of these chips here. I can't quite make out the number on that one. Let's just see if I can zoom down a bit, see if we can make the number out. Right, UCC 28950. Well, it's not a number that I recognise. So I think I might start by taking this display board off actually, and we'll get a bit closer look at that. And see if we get voltage and that and stuff to it with it just being dead. Because it could be that there's no power coming from here going to the display board, or it could be a fault on the display board. So let's see if we can get this display board out. I'll just zoom back out a fraction. Right, it's in a bit of a weird angle, so I'm not sure I want to get that bottom screw out. Well, let's have a go. And these screws look like Torx 10s. I wonder if I can get a screwdriver bit in there and use a pair of pliers. Right, that's one of them. And there's the other one. Now this one's going to be a bit more tricky, I think. I might just be to get that the wedge in. Right, I think that was it. Yeah, it's coming out. I'll pop something underneath so you get a better view. Right, so we've got a membrane keypad here, so I'm just going to unplug that. Right, so now we've got the display board out. And yes, there is a microcontroller on it. Now does this display just unplug? I mean, this just looks like a standard 2-line 20 character display, I think. I've got a couple of those somewhere. Right, let's just have a zoom down on this. So what chip's this in? It's in STM-8, is that an S or a 5? 207 R8T6. And yeah, we do have a USB socket there. That's more than likely for programming or firmware updates, I would guess. I can't see anything immediately on this board. What there is down there. of a scrape or something perhaps, I don't know. I've got a 10 ohm resistor there. I can't see anything immediate on this, that looks blown. And there's not really much on the back of the board. Let's have a look at the display, see if there's anything on that. Let's just say a couple of blob chips. And we've got a 0 ohm resistor. I could check that just in case that may have blown. I mean, I'm fairly sure I've got one of these displays on an Arduino somewhere, so I might grab that and we'll just check that the display hasn't failed. I mean, I think these are fairly quite reliable, but I mean, blob chips can fail, so... Right, I'll check this 0 ohm resistor first. Let's put that to one side. I'll just go into continuity. I'll try and get the meter on that in shot. I was going to say, was that it? But I guess not. Right, so that's okay, so it's not that. I'm going to see if I can find one of these displays. We'll try that and see if that makes any difference. Right, I'll be back in 2 minutes once I find it. And resume. Well, it's actually a 4 by 20, the one that I've got here. But it should still work, it'll just not show anything on the bottom 2 lines. Right, so let's plug this into here. Let's see if we can connect this membrane back up. I'm sure I get something just to put under this display, so I'm not shorting anything out. Right, I think that'll do. Let's plug it in and see if it does anything now then. So it's got a beep. Oh, it just lit up there when I moved it. There. I haven't got anything on the display, but definitely seems to have some kind of bad connection there. I'll just switch this back off a second. Let's just have a zoom down on this connector. Ah, look what I can see. That whole leg's lifting off the PCB there. I mean, I think that might just be the backlight one. Well, I think what I'm going to do is just resolder all of these connections just in case. I'm just going to unplug this for a moment. It was switched off, I'm just going to unplug it just in case. And try and get this board somewhere so I can work on it. Right. Might be better doing this with a microscope, I think. Right, so I've got the microscope set up. I'm just having a look at some of the soldering on some of these pins, and they definitely look a bit dry. I mean, there's a couple of them look rather suspect there, so I think we'll just run the iron over these, we'll resolder them, and we'll do the same on this side. And that side doesn't look too bad. Might do this side first actually. That's why we're on this side of the board. Oh, they're loose, them pins as well. Yeah, pretty much all over those when you try and heat them up. I don't know if that's normal. That one's not as loose. Well, these ones. Ah, look. The pin's actually broke off. This is going to need a new connector then. So that's why the display wasn't working. I wonder how that's happened then. That's a bit weird. Right, so not just dry joints, we've got broken pins on this connector as well. Now, I don't think I've got any of these, but I may have one with pins. So I'm just wondering if I can bend the pins, like bend one pin one way and one pin the other way, and use that instead, because the connectors I've got are actually through hole. I think the first thing we're going to have to do is remove this connector then. So that was a bit of a strange one. Yeah, that one's completely broke off as well. I wasn't expecting that. I'm just going to put a bit of flux on these just to help with the flow of the solder here. I don't know, you can use some low melt on this. I think that might make it easier to remove this, to be quite honest with you. Let's get some low melt on it. So the first two are already off. Let's have a look at the other side. And I might just give this a bit of a blast with some hot air and we'll just see if it'll just come off. I put a bit of flux on those as well. Zoom in out fraction. So I wonder if there's any broken on this side as well. So no wonder the display wasn't working then. Because half the pins haven't been connected. Let's turn this round. Right, let's go and clean this area up now. There's another leg just came off there. So the only thing I can think is when this has been getting, let's say, put in and out of a van or knocked around, the vibrations have caused all of these pins to break. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I see a few dry joints, possibly, yeah, but not all the pins to be broken. Just going to put a bit more flux on that end pin. Right, I'm going to give that a clean up with some IPA now. Right, I'm going to see if I can find something that I can use for a connector. One moment, please. And resume. Right, so what I found was some of these which I got when I was doing a few Arduino projects. But these are for through hole. So what I've done is I've bent the legs one way and then the other way. And I've had to trim the legs down slightly, but I think we'll get away with this. So that should just fit on there, like that. So I think what I'll do, I'll just solder up one side up first, so we can get it in line. Just put a bit of solder on this pad, I think, first. And I'll do one at this end. I think that should do. Right, we'll just spin it round and do the other side then. I've got a bit of flux on some of these pins, just don't seem to be flowing very good. Right, I think that should do. So let's give that a bit of a clean up now. Not too happy about that one there. Let's just see if we can. I think might need a bit of touch up on that one. Right then. Right, so just to give this a little bit extra mechanical strength, I'm just going to use some hot glue just down the side of this connector here. Something like that. Now this connector is sitting a little bit higher than the original one, so hopefully we can still get the front panel back on. Right, let's get the rest of the units. I'll just zoom out a fraction. Now this might have multiple faults here, I'm not sure. Let's see if that's made any difference. Let's try and support this display. Something like that. Yes. showroom. Error battery. Right, all the display is working. I wonder if the error was coming up because there's no battery connected. Right, I'll switch it off. I'll see if I can find a lead acid battery. I think I've got a small one somewhere which I might be able to use. Right, well, one moment again please. And resume. Right, so I've got a lead acid alarm battery here, which hopefully will do the job. Let's just zoom out a bit. Let's see what happens if we press start then. Well, hey. That looks like it. Oh. Error battery. Now I don't know whether that's because with this little alarm battery I'm using, or whether it's still got another problem. Anyway, let's put the test meter on there. And let's just see if it is giving out any power. Yes. Well, it is charging. It might just be because I'm using an alarm battery instead of a proper car battery. Right, I think I'll put this display back in and then we'll try it on a proper car battery. But so far it actually appears to be working. Just unplug this. Unplug these wires. Right, I'll pop the top back on and then we'll try it on a proper car battery in the workshop. Right, so here we are in the workshop and I've got it hooked up to an old battery there. And it's actually been running for about nearly an hour now. There we go, we can see it charging away there. It's drawn 1.5 amps and it's been going for about 50 minutes now. So yeah, so I'd say a successful repair on this one. Right then, if you enjoyed this video, please give it the thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, please subscribe. Any comments or questions, please leave it in the comment section below. And as always, have a great day. Thanks for watching.